All right, let the questions commence. If not, we will just start rambling about random stuff. We can do it, trust me.
Yeah. No, but I guess just an update on our end. We've gotten some good reports on our data from some of the prospects ingesting it. So the quality is actually was above expectations for first version. So that's really nice. Right now, I think I answered this in the general channel today. We've expanded with one more person on the commercial side. So right now we're spending a lot of time talking to prospects. So we have a pretty good pipeline we're working. And really what the goal is right now is mainly to figure out in what way do they ingest the data? Is there like a big discrepancy between the different customers, how they want to connect to it? Like what's the API setup they need? What frames do they require? Latency requirements and so on. So we're spending a lot of time doing that to essentially be able to pre-build some of these the API integrations for them so they can easily connect. Also trying to get more of insight into specific regions where, like when we continue growing, where would it make most sense from a commercial perspective to actually grow coverage? And had a meeting today with an interesting guy from Argentina. We're a little bit away from doing direct partnerships with airports, but it's a long process. So we're starting looking into what countries would it actually be like, kind of like the low hanging fruits on getting the right contact in that country that can kind of help us create these partnerships with the airports to get the sensors directly on the terminals. So we're spending a lot of time on that. And then, of course, Alex and our other developers are working through the backlog. Lifetime earnings, obviously, testnet has been a big one. We're also, we have quite a few things we need to do, but also on the enhancement of the website and the user experience, we've started that process as well. So it's quite a few things we got going at the moment, but it's really fun. It's really fun to expand the team, and they're pretty new, but they've been onboarded quite quickly. So I think we already see way faster deployment, and a lot of things that we're actually working on are not so visible all the time, but there's quite a lot of things happening behind the scenes. Hey, Chala, good to have you back.
If I could interject, Robin.
Of course.
Just a quick note for the audience who is here, and I guess anyone listening on YouTube. For complete transparency, we have had some issues with our install script as far as how it auto updates over the last couple of weeks. We don't take this lightly. We obviously don't want any kind of downtime for any stations, even though it is still beta and it is testnet or technically devnet. We don't want these things to happen. We are giving the whole process some love now. We're trying to decide the best way to tackle things moving forward to make sure we have very stable setup for our stations. Just to give a 10-second explanation, we did implement some changes that we wanted to make things better for new users to onboard, and it actually does. There's some really cool stuff in the latest version of the install that you may not even see, but I did make an announcement post in the announcement channels that cover some of the main stuff that we updated. Just quality of life stuff when you're doing an install, quality of life for after the install, so you don't have to do extra commands. But during the process, one little glitch happened. Something was updated incorrectly. And what happened was we got into this weird loop where the auto update was trying to update, but then failing, and it was bringing a station down. And then in a fix to that, we unfortunately made another mistake that caused it to happen in a different way. So we basically put the brakes on everything, undid the chance in the auto update script, the capability in the auto updates. All right, I'm going to try with words this time. We updated the auto update script so that it would not update your installation anymore. It just basically runs in the background, doesn't do anything. In doing that, we wanted everything to get back to a stable state where everybody was at the same state, same version, same everything, and just sitting there and working. And we're going to take this, we're going to take a step back. We're going to reevaluate how we're doing it, come up with some other options, and make it better and more stable, because more stable is more important than cool new features. So we're going to make that happen first. And then we're going to, Max, you don't have to call yourself out. No, it's a team effort. We all are working on ways to make it better. We actually have some really cool ideas on how we can change the process moving forward, and we'll make that known when we start doing it. But we have ways of combating this so it doesn't happen again, hopefully. So thank you everybody for your patience. We know it's frustrating to have your station go down and you don't know why. We are here to help. Open a ticket. We will be happy to help you work through it. It was super helpful to have people reach out and be very kind as opposed to attacking. I loved it. And it was very, very nice to have them reach out and work with us and be patient and identify what was happening, because it's very difficult when it's not happening to all the stations, and it's very difficult when it's not happening specifically to your test stations, because you're like, I don't see any problem. So thank you, community, for being patient. Thank you for reaching out and asking for help, and for typing a bunch of commands when we asked you to in the prompt. So that's it. That was more than 10 seconds. I apologize, but super happy for the community to do what they did.
Well said, Mike. I mean, it's really nice, and at this stage, it's definitely not going to be the last thing we ever break. But at least we can promise we're going to be transparent when we break something, and we're not going to, hopefully make the same mistake twice. But it is nice with such a awesome community, because I mean, I always look into other channels for other projects, and like, this community is really cool. So it's really appreciate having all of you here. And yeah, Max, it's not your fault. It's things break sometimes. It's difficult starting a company from the ground up, figuring everything out, delivering things fast. We have multiple fronts, obviously we have to deliver for the community, because that's the core of our entire thing, the most important thing. We have customers asking for things. So it's that's why now, with the expansion of the team, we're going to work on setting our processes a little bit better, and it's going to get better and better over time. So it's really cool to have everyone on board while we get better and better.
Yeah, without running into those challenges, we wouldn't come up with cool new processes that will make things better. So best to come up with them now than, later when we're much larger.
Exactly. Let's see. Mike Dennis asked a question. Mobile stations without section claiming.
Not the first time that's been asked.
Yeah, a few people have asked that. Like, I think with the mobile stations, the issue, at least from a commercial perspective, is that when you go to someone and you say, hey, this is our data, they will analyze the data and they will see where the coverage is. And they expect the coverage to be at least what you give them and not change, but it could grow. Obviously, they won't complain about that. But you have let's say a mobile antenna, and it's like one day it's in Western US, and then they move it after a week to Midwest and then to Eastern US. That's actually not good from a commercial perspective, but from a coolness perspective, it will be very cool. But right now, we haven't thought much about it because we have so much else that we need to do. Rush asked the question. Yeah, so with I don't know what the Deutsche Flugsicherung is, but we do have a partnership with Eurocontrol, so we're doing some stuff with them, but not in terms of antenna deployment yet, at least.
You cut out on that at the very end. Not in terms of
not in terms of like antenna deployment, getting them on the airports, but we have established a partnership with them where we can get access to some of their data sets, which will be very handy in the future.
Skipping forward, Cello. Lots of problems with one of my stations. I'm aware, Cello. I think Max and I are aware. It's located far away from me. It'd be really nice to see if the station is really online or not. Is the green or red button the only indicator to really see if my station is sending data to Wingbits? Sometimes my stations seem to be working fine, but the green button appears 3 to 5 hours later, especially for stations far away. It'd be really nice. Yeah, so online, offline. It's like a Schrodinger's cat situation. Is it really online or is it not? Right now, obviously everything's based on data received. So if we are receiving data, it is considered online. That can be problematic, you could argue, in really low traffic. And I mean really low traffic areas where maybe 2 rescue planes or something fly by in a 24-hour period. It's going to appear that you're offline during other parts when there is no air traffic. So we understand that is a challenge. There's been some discussion on ways to kind of combat that, or ways to interrogate that information differently. No promises now on what we can do in the future, but we will continue to look into it. Right now, the best indication we have is whether you are actively submitting data, messages from ADSB. I want to just assure you, Cello, that we are looking into it. It falls into the same category as our upgrade script and auto update stuff, and being concerned about whether people can tell if they're up or not. A lot of people, I made an announcement the other day trying to cover this, but a lot of people make the assumption like, I can see planes on TAR 1090. I can see my graphs and everything looks fine. My station's up. Why is Wingbits saying my station is down? Again, that's the difference between, are you generating the messages? Sorry, I should say, are you locally receiving the messages from the aircraft is one aspect. Are you then transferring those and submitting them over to Wingbits is another part of the puzzle. And what we've had in the past couple weeks has been related to that tool, Vector, having a few glitches and not actually being up. So you're seeing stuff locally, but it's not getting submitted over. And if we don't see the submissions, we don't think you're online. We will make this better. I promise you, it's not the last you'll hear of it.
Yeah, that's a difficult one.
Oh, actually, as Robin was telling me the other day, good point here. Tail scale. And I know, I think you've got a Cello, but in general, anybody listening on YouTube, if you are going to have a remote station, you're not going to be able to get to it quick, even if it's I don't know, the neighboring town or 2 over, and you go on the weekends to visit family, but you've got a station there. We would still recommend that you install some remote access tool. I'm not going to say tail scale is the only option out there. There's quite a few options, but that is one of the options. So please look into something. I think from a community perspective, there are probably more people using tail scale than anything else. So that would be an option that you might get support from others, but definitely have something to deal with remote stuff.
Yeah, I know Grumpy has like a pretty good how-to video on tail scale as well. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Dennis, I'm just sorry if I'm not fully understanding. Are you saying putting the stations like physically on the airplane? Just to make sure I understand. Well, so obviously the airplanes, they have both the ADSB in and out, so they can catch each other's signals. I guess the difficulty is like, one, you can't put it. You would have to be certified to put any type of equipment on an airplane, and that's a very hard process. But also, like, even if we have it on the airplane, we still need to get it down to Earth somehow. So if it's over the ocean, I guess if you have satellite connection, hypothetically you could send it. But that one, I'm not smart enough to figure out exactly how to do that. Two, the value of the data that's actually over the Atlantic is actually quite small, because the value in the data for the buyer is essentially from, just to complete the trip. So takeoff to landing, anything in between, you can supplement with satellite data like every 10 or 30 minutes, because you can kind of forecast based on speed and direction where it's about to be. And if someone is in this call that, if I'm saying the wrong thing on the mobile station, please call me out. But I know there's a couple of companies like Avionics. They have some patented device that you can install on planes. That's more for plane-to-plane communication, I think, more so than getting it down to Earth. Obviously, a satellite will capture all the planes anyway, so it's probably easier and cheaper to supplement data. Now, if any of you know any good contacts at like big shipping companies like Maersk, we can try to put some antennas on all the kind of the container ships that kind of travel in a set pattern. Then you can probably get some cool coverage over the ocean. That'll be interesting.
How did they do it? I guess they use satellite phones also for data or something, because it's not like there's a cell tower in the middle of the ocean.
The ships?
Yeah.
Yeah, they broadcast similar signal to ADSB, but they use a satellite for get the GPS locations. You can see them on the map. If you go onto like marinetraffic.com, you can see all the ships. It's actually pretty cool. But then their signal, they send out similar to, some radio signal. I think it's like 162.78 megahertz or something.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's really like when we started looking at obviously Wingbits, and then I was like, oh, it's cool. It's cool to track anything. You go to marine traffic, and it's like, oh wow, what kind of boat is this? Where's it going? And where did it come from? It's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, I think, I don't care about every shipping vessel personally. I can understand a commercial need for it, but as maybe a potential enthusiast, I might have some interest in the shipping, but I'd be more interested in like cruise ships and stuff. Like, yeah, what are their routes? What are they doing? Like, are they going around heavy seas? And you can see like weather. I did look at one probably like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago that it was a little overwhelming. It had like all kinds of overlays for like wind patterns and wave discrepancies due to the wind. I don't know. It was a lot for me to try to ingest, but I found it kind of interesting, kind of like aircraft.
Yeah.
Especially since they're like on the ground level, sea level, and they're being impacted by everything. Like they're impacted by traffic of it's not like a plane where you can have one plane at like 40,000 feet and another one at 35,000 feet. And those two will never probably see each other. They may in the distance, but they're never going to overlap. They're never going to run into each other. Whereas ships, they're all there on the water. So it's probably pretty important to make sure they get like a wide berth of each other and to make sure that they don't, have issues with scheduling or whatever, trying to get into ports at the same time. I think it'd be really cool to watch some of those.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. But what actually was interesting with the I mean, it's a little off topic, but the maritime is like, now there's actually quite a big business for like the satellite footage, not so much tracking, but the footage, to try to see where the ghost ships are traveling that are turning off their transmitters. Yeah, because like, all these kind of like, what do you call it? Sanctions, they put on different countries and they like try to get around them, and they use ghost ships. So there's quite a big business for tracking those.
Wow. So ship bits, water bits,
water bits. You can do any type of bits, really.
Cello, you didn't ask another question, but I want to circle back to you real quick, and to anybody else listening or on YouTube listening on YouTube or here as well. We've also noticed a strange behavior on stations that potentially have, I don't want to call it frequent, but irregular internet glitches where there's reboots or power issues that are more regular than you'd want them to be, where there's a disconnect, where Vector doesn't reconnect to Wingbits. If you're experiencing, if you go through logs with us and you notice that you're having, it typically says DNS issues, name lookup issues. If you're having that, I don't want to be inundated, but if you are having it, please make a ticket. We're trying to test out a few things, and I wouldn't mind having a few more people to test, because having irregular issues to debug and verify that we've resolved it in a workaround is very challenging when you can't find enough samples to do it. So we're trying a few things with Vector just to see if we can help that. And if I could get a few more samples of people running into that regularly, and I know there are people out there that are having, brownouts every day, or they're having some kind of internet disconnection issues every day. I'd love to work with you and see if we can test a few things.
Yeah. I have another question. So now when we're going to work on improving the user experience platform, and obviously the map is one thing that we're going to improve. But we're getting a lot of good suggestions in the suggestion channel. If you have any ideas of when you go to a map and you want to, what would you find exciting to do on the map in terms of tracking planes, notifications, filtering, visualization? If you have any ideas of hey, this would be really cool to be able to do on the map. And obviously later on at some point, we're going to build the mobile app as well with, they have the dashboard and obviously a map functionality there as well. So if you have some ideas of what would be cool, you would want to see, please put it in the suggestions channel as we're going through this process of, making it more fun and better for everybody in the community. Dennis, we don't have the smart contracts done yet, but you can find all the light paper and the formulas and the rewards mechanisms and stuff in the light paper in our documentation.
And if you're just looking for token information, I can link that after the stage. Can't do it during the stage, but I can provide that. And for anybody here or listening on YouTube, just a note as well, DevNet is obviously not supported very well by some of the wallet apps. It is also not supported extremely well by some of the explorers out there. We have tried to be open because realizing that once you get a mainnet, pretty much any wallet app is going to work to access your wallet or to make a wallet. And explorers will probably all work pretty similar. DevNet is a different beast. So if you are looking for transactional data, if you're looking for a wallet app that works right now, 100% I can confirm Phantom has no issues with DevNet. And I can confirm that the official Solana Explorer in DevNet mode shows most, if not all, of the information. So those are the two sources that I personally have been using to reference and look things up. If you're on another Explorer and you don't see transactions, check the main Solana Explorer. And if you're having wallet stuff, you can either choose not to participate or to monitor even the DevNet rewards during this phase, or you can install Phantom. And again, you have the option, you can make a whole new wallet just for the purpose of DevNet. I think Grumpy's even mentioned that on videos. You can make a new wallet just for DevNet, put that on the Wingbits site, link it to your station or stations, and then you would have the opportunity to watch the transactions on Phantom.
Cool. When we're going to do MLAP, I mean, in some areas we could probably do it, but we don't know when we're going to enable MLAP. It's definitely on the roadmap. So, while I can't tell you an exact timing, it depends on how fast we grow. So we can have enough receivers tracking every plane, and we can enable it. In some areas we could do it now, but we just haven't done it yet. And Dennis, on the open source, I mean, we would like to have as much as possible open source. We just want to make sure that, obviously, when it's open source, there's a lot of a lot of good things with it. Like, we want to have transparency in the project, and community input, and, use the community for innovation and collaboration and stuff like that. But also, does expose us more to any type of attack. So we would like to have it open source, but we haven't decided yet. Finally, we're a little bit away from it.
Megabus. We skipped over a Megabus question.
Very sorry.
Is there a set of instructions published which explain how to access and use TAR 1090? I can link you after the stage. It is just an open source package that is maintained by a really active developer, and the documentation on the site's actually pretty good. Other than that, Google is your friend. You end up in a lot of forums, a lot of different message boards, but accessing will be simple. I'll link after the stage. I'll mention you in the Discord so it pings you.
Maybe that's an idea for a future video, Mike. How to TAR 1090.
Actually, our original install video, which yes has to be updated based on new installation processes, but I was waiting because we had one more phase of installation enhancements to make. And I didn't want to make an interim updated video and then have to make another one again. So part of that original Wingbits installation video or setup guide has a section for how to get to TAR 1090. It doesn't talk about how to use it though. Like there are a lot of buttons on TAR 1090. And some of those buttons can be very confusing, especially if you start clicking and you're like, oh, more planes show up. This is cool. I can see even more planes. You don't realize that's a persistent mode that's showing planes after they've disappeared out of your coverage area. So you're not actually seeing those planes. Those are historic planes. But yeah, there's a ton of buttons on there that are pretty cool to play with. You can't really ruin anything on there. You can just make it more confusing for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I love TAR 1090. It's just fun to see like these are my planes, like they're mine. I track them. I really like it. We're actually going to put a TV on the wall here, and we're going to have one on the map. And then, we had an antenna at the office like downstairs, but now obviously moved up. So we're going to mount it out here. And we're going to have one screen with our little local planes here as well.
They're not yours if someone else is covering them too. You can share them.
We're sharing is caring, so it's all good. Dennis asks, what is your current plan of using the Peak network? So I don't know if you've been able to go through our announcements and documentation. The token will be launched on Solana. We're still in contact on a regular basis with Peak to look at potentially using their tooling as well. So right now, we're obviously the step one is, testnet was launched now, and then mainnet, and then we're evaluate their tooling. So we have monthly meetings with Peak still. Yeah, Russia. I mean, we agree. So we want to have enough receivers for redundancy, but we would prefer not to have more than needed, simply to avoid too much saturation. But we do believe the model itself is great, and we could reach by far the most receivers out there, but we need to give a balance that's best for us and for the community at the same time.
Yeah, and if you're referring to the fact that we could do MLAP because of that, 100%. I mean, there's also the opportunity maybe moving to 978 megahertz in the future, at least in the US. There are those opportunities, and I'm guessing some of the business need for that data will drive how quickly we attack some of them as well. That's just my guess.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because there's the two most important things is for the whole project is one, making sure that the model is fair to the community and that we do right by the community. And two is selling as much data as possible so we can feed as much revenue as possible back into the community. And those are the two key kind of parts. And obviously, if we get a lot of requests from customers for MLAT, that would move up in prio. If no one requests it, then it will be a little bit later when it makes sense. Does this water bottle make this noise every time I open it? Can you hear it in the mic?
A little bit. It's not too bad. I think it's because your mic is on your AirPods or whatever right now.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
You got to open it right
My
next to
wife,
your ear.
my wife keeps telling me I need to drink more water. I'm dehydrated. So I keep my water bottle with me now at all times.
Not that I'm sharing medical history, but I will warn you. First kidney stone you ever get will be the last time that you stop drinking water. You'll be like, I'm going to drink water every day, all day, nonstop.
She, yeah, but then she tells my dad, and my dad reads all these like articles, and he's like, "Oh, you can actually kill yourself by drinking too much water. So you should only drink if you're thirsty." And then she's like, "No, this research says you're supposed to drink like a gallon a day or whatever." Well, I'm gonna drink a little bit more than I did before, and I'm sure I'll be fine. See, a couple of people typing. Mike, are you still there, or did you disappear?
I'm here. What do you mean?
You were just so quiet.
Well, I was actually just looking at the clock. So you have like 12 minutes left, right?
Yes, I have 12 minutes left. So
All right.
any last 12-minute questions, I guess.
Last minute questions. Well, all 12 of them. You got 12 last minute questions. We got you.
Exactly. Yeah. So the rewards, obviously, Solana. To your question, Dennis, like we're looking at the machine IDs and how that would, if that would actually benefit it overall versus what we can do, building our own stuff. But the machine IDs is the main thing we're thinking about using. And there's other things. Like I know Peak is, they're doing the layer, what it's called, layer 0, I think it's called, essentially like a cross-chain type of platform. So like it would be good to be multi-chain long term, but like for now it's reward with Solana. We're definitely going to evaluate using Peak for as much tooling as we can. We really like Peak and their team. I think they have a good idea, like a good thing going. But again, it's super early, so we're kind of evaluating as we go. But the machine ID is probably the number one thing we're looking at.
All right, I'm gonna get this out of the way earlier while Cello's typing. Robin, chocolate, vanilla, both. I don't know. It's kind of a broad term. It could be like ice cream, could be just flavor in general, but chocolate or vanilla or both.
I'm not a super big chocolate fan, so I would say vanilla. What about you?
For me, if you give me vanilla, I'm like, why'd you bother? I gotta have chocolate. I'm like, it's almost like one is flavor and one is devoid of flavor. But I will say, like a cookie and cream ice cream, which basically is like a weird vanilla and then cookie bits, I'm okay with that. And in a worst case scenario, if somebody's got like some Hershey's syrup or some sprinkles or both, like I can put some of that on there. I'm not drenching it, but just enough to like offset it. I can have vanilla and be all right. But I am chocolate
Coke
through
or
and through.
Pepsi? Coke or Pepsi?
Dr. Pepper.
That was not even an option.
Yeah, it 100% is an option because it's worse because I'm in Atlanta. So obviously Coca-Cola is the name here. It's like almost everywhere you go, everything's Coke. The Coke Museum is here. It's just Coke, 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 Coke. But if I had to choose between the two, Pepsi. But luckily I don't have to because Dr. Pepper exists. Has 23 flavors of something in it. I don't know what they are, but 23 of them.
Yeah, I'd say Coke.
Really?
Yeah, it's just because Pepsi is only good if you drink a little bit because it's too sweet. Like sometimes a Coke can just be really nice if you have a lot of ice. It's good. Dr. Pepper, I used to drink Dr. Pepper a little bit when I was in the US, but like I never really got to the point. It was like if there was nothing else to drink and I didn't want water and there was a Dr. Pepper, I'd be like, if it's cold enough, fine.
Yeah, everything has to be cold. I'm actually a huge water person now, so I have my one soft drink a day, and then after that, I just drink a ton of water. So it is what it is.
Yeah, gotta stay healthy.
I almost listed strawberry, Hector. I was like, you know what? Should I do it? Should I do the whole Neapolitan kind of thing? Like, That used to be a big thing in the household. We would get the Neapolitan, like I would eat chocolate and my wife would have the strawberry, and our youngest son, when there was only three of us, would have, our oldest son, when there were only three of us, would have the vanilla. So it was like a perfect half-gallon ice cream tub thing that we all had a flavor to choose from in there. But now that my wife goes for crazy, like butter pecan and stuff like that. I do chocolate. My boys do mint chocolate chip, which I know this is going to be controversial, and I apologize, but mint ice cream tastes like toothpaste to me. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's gross. I'm glad we all agree on that. All of Wingbits community agree that mint ice cream is terrible. I hope they've offended someone. We're going to see like 50 people leave here in a little bit. Oh, we love mint. Cello, how about testing token awards? I mean, today when it was up and we kind of improved it, it seems fine. I haven't seen any issues, but also, again, just for everyone here, if you haven't been here before, I'm not the technical person on the team, so I just kind of relay what I hear from the smarter people say. But today it seems to be going fine. Don't really know, like on the different wallets. I mean, I just use Phantom and it works fine for me. I don't know. I saw some people maybe had some issues with Soulflare. They had to like. Do you see that Mike did have to like redo it or restart it a bunch of times?
No. All right. So Soulflare is apparently not showing DevNet at all, or maybe
even when you enable it.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a transient issue. I'm not familiar enough with it and its support for DevNet to know. So at this point, that's why we've just kind of been leaning towards Phantom, because it does work at this moment. And admittedly, we've only had rewards for about a week, but it's super important to be able to verify them and look. So Phantom's the choice. And for anybody listening on YouTube that is unfamiliar, I see confusion in Discord a lot, and I'm probably not going to put a dent in it. Remember that the wallets are on the blockchain, always going to be there. And then there's wallet apps or wallet tools that allow you to access or interact with those wallets. It's not like when you use a wallet app and you create a wallet, that wallet is somehow in that app, like Phantom. You're not walking around with the wallet. The wallet's on the blockchain. You're just accessing it via an app or a tool. So I don't know if that made it more confusing for people who don't understand, or if it helped anybody, but never mind. I'll just let it go.
Well, I was basically, thought back to, obviously Dennis mentioned open source in regards to the smart contract, but it would actually make sense to open source the documentation, because we have a really good community. People know all kinds of stuff, and maybe that would be actually a good idea to, if someone has a specific wallet or they set up a specific device, we can have some type of open source and reward model for contributing. So maybe that would be a good idea to do down the road.
All right.
I guess now I said it, so now it's on video for all time. So we kind of have to do it
now. It's not on video until the editor's done.
What does the community think? Is it a good or a bad idea?
Real quick, hacking this and that. I'm from the South. I may not sound like it, but I am. So it has been said in my household, pecan and pecan, both ways, depending on who's around. So, and depending on who's around and how thick their accent is, and if you fall into that Southern accent with them.
Do you say Worcester, Mike? Is that a Worcester?
I don't say the word at all. Are you talking about the sauce?
No, like a washer, like washer.
Oh, washer.
Worcester.
Worcester. No, it's always been a washer for me, but there are a lot of Southern words that I do not probably say like everybody around me. I don't know. I thought you were trying to talk about Worcestershire or whatever that
Oh
sauce is.
yeah, no one knows how to say that sauce. Worcestershire.
I think the label changes weekly and they just change letters around to make it more
Yeah,
confusing.
it's kind of a good marketing stunt. You just make the name so confusing that everyone makes fun of like how to say the name, and then everyone's just like gets to know about it.
Yeah.
Worcestershire bits. Is Worcestershire, right? Worcestershire.
I can't even look it up because I'm recording, but
Yeah, exactly.
so somebody paste the actual spelling just so that we have some closure
Yeah.
at the end of this video.
Yeah, please let us know what the sauce is called. We cannot end this call before we know the sauce.
It'll just be us awkwardly sitting here.
Worcestershire or Worcester sauce. So Cello was actually correct. Fermented liquid.
So they just add Shire on the end, like the hobbits?
Yeah, with the Shire.
The Shire of the old Worcester.
Invented by the pharmacist John Wheatley Lee.
Lee? His last name was Lee?
Yeah. Lee, yeah. John Wheatley Lee.
I guess that's better than Lee sauce.
Worcester sauce. That's really funny.
I mean, it's a name. I don't say it. We're all good.
But we had Dennis. This was your first stage because you had got the green symbols. I really appreciate you hopping in this time. Nice to see new people coming in.
This has also felt different than some of the other stages. Like
I guess maybe we were less prepared. Maybe this has been I think less information and more talking random a little bit on this call. But that's okay sometimes. It's just nice to hang out with everyone here, I think. Thanks so much, Hector. I really appreciate it.
I expected like a whole let's discuss the testnet, devnet stuff. Let's discuss the installer issues. I expected like come at me, bro, kind of situation. And it was more like a, hey everybody, what's going on? There's got a couple questions just about mobile stuff. And
yeah, no, but there's a lot of cool things. Like one thing I really tried to figure out is like, Dennis, you and Mike should have a separate, because I'm not at the level to be able to discuss that where it would give you any value. I'm sorry about that, but there's so many cool things that like you could probably do. Like, how is there any way that we can actually have people participate in a project without using an antenna as well? Like someone mentioned, one cool thing to do, like when you get the pictures of the airplanes, right now we get them from some open source library, but like we could start collecting our own picture bank. I don't know if there's any other information we can collect from people traveling that will be of value. Like it would be cool to figure out multiple ways for people to participate in the project. Obviously an antenna will be the core case, but are there other ways? So any ideas there would also be super appreciated. Overall, we just want to make it one. Obviously, we need to build a profitable business because long-term that will benefit the community, but also how to make it really, really fun over time. So any ideas, put them in the suggestion channel and have a slot every week where we go through them and we prioritize the ones that are upvoted. And also, if you like some in there, please upvote it, because if it's like we have a lot of stuff to do, so we'll start with the ones that are mostly upvoted. Yeah, me and Pelle here, we've been actually talking about merch. Because we also want some merch in the office. So we have been looking at merch. So maybe we'll do so. We need to get going on the merch. So we'll figure it out. The only difficult thing is, you have people all over the world and they're like, yeah, I want a medium. And then he goes to across the world and it's like, shit, I should have ordered a large. And then he has to go back. And so it's a little bit tricky with the supply chain of merch. Maybe, what is that place called, Mike, where it's like print on demand? Printful. Maybe we can use something like that. One size fits all, like super stretchy. Dennis, we're sitting in Stockholm, Sweden.
I'm not, but yes, they are.
Yeah, yeah. Max, maybe you have some good suggestions. If you know any right off the bat, you can just let me know in our channel.
I mean, I
So
collect
let's
baseball
start.
caps, so I'd love to have a hat, a really good looking
Ooh,
hat.
I guess a hat will be a very safe bet as merch because like you just need like one that's really because I have a massive head, so like I have to have big hats because I have this big thing sticking out on the back. So like it just needs to be a big enough hat because I hate when it's too tight.
Yeah.
Uh, we need like a big adjustable hat, but that'd be cool. That's a good one. Maybe some socks, some Wingbits socks. Everyone, I think, wears socks. I don't know everywhere, but that's fun. Like a hoodie and some stickers. Yeah, yeah. If you have merch suggestions, put them in the channel too. Like what type of items on merch would be the best? Then we can start looking at it. But oh, crap! I'm a few minutes over. We actually have to. I have to jump out of this meeting. But again, it's super fun doing these stages. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here and listening to us this whole time. Thanks for being in the community, and we'll schedule another stage in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking
Yep.
forward to the next one.
Thanks,
Really
everybody.
appreciate it. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.